body take control. You're on my mind, baby. Just move a little closer. And I say, oh, it's a night we'll both remember. Oh, sweet surrender. Oh.
Good morning, everybody. Happy hump day. It is hump day, right? It's Wednesday? Yeah, it is Wednesday. I got it right this week. How about that? How about that? Catch me outside. Anyway, good morning. Boy, do I got a lot of tabs open today. Holy smokes. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm going to have to just make sure that all those links are in my single link down in the description down below. Because as you know, every story that I talk about on the show, I put in a one-tab link, put it at the bottom of the that's all, folks. No, it's not. In the description down below, I'll put a link in the chat too when I get it all put together, because I can't do it till after the show. Otherwise, I can't use them on while I'm out here. So anyway, today's topic, I mean, it's a minor topic, but I think it's funny that it's getting some airplay or getting some notice. And it's about a particular senator who's had a target on her back for quite a while. So we'll get to that and much, much more right after the intro. Johnny, play the intro, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight.
And stop that music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome to the Dawg Knight Channel. Today is Wednesday, the 19th of May, 2021. A beautiful, lovely day, except it's raining where I live. So, that's just, it happens this time of year. That's what it's supposed to do, right? Spring showers bring May flowers, and it is May or April showers, but it's May. But still, we need rain because I have a flower garden that I feature in my outro, and it needs some water. And also, oh man, so I had a bunch of tulips and daffodils in my garden, and this is the first year that they've all come up when they're supposed to. So I got what are those ones? The little grape hyacinth and daffodils and tulips, and they all kind of come up at the same time. And then as those die down, I have these allium. They look like little blue powder puff balls, whatever flowers. And now those other ones are dying back, and the allium are starting to bloom. And I got we got all kinds of stuff. If you're into gardening, you know what I'm talking about. Plus, now all my hostas are starting to open up, which is awesome. I love my hostas because we have I have about 80 hostas along one side of my fence, right? Well, is it 80? No, not 80, probably 60, okay? And almost all different varieties. So there's a real different cool color mass. I'll have to show you that sometime in one of my videos. But anyway, I'm excited for spring. I love when the plants start coming up, the trees are all green and everything's good. And so I'm happy about that. But while I'm on that subject, or maybe I should get off that subject and say hi to everybody, and we'll get into the news. So first in the chat today, oh, did I even do this? Yes, I did. First in the chat today. Who's first? It was, Keenan was here early, and his name got knocked up, but I'm still going to give Keenan a bell. I don't know if you're back yet, Keenan. But, and then first in the chat, since I opened up the stream, is Mike Savage, Blarg. And you're going to get the bell too because, you're here. I know you're here. Also, good morning, Selecta Boy. Yeah, and also, good morning, Paul Farrell. What's happening? Also, let's see, Mr. Yes. Jaeger Pony, my favorite Canadian, Fox B2, Tarai Deos, howdy do. Let's see, Attack Alpaca's in the house, James PFP, Michael Hatfield, I got Uncle Bad Touch.
That's right.
Whoops, that's not it.
Right.
Whoops, that's not it.
Come on, man.
Oh, there you are, because we all know who you really are. Also, good morning, Advocatus Diabli, the Devil's Advocate, Jonathan Peterson, Renee Mayette, San. Let's see, where to go here? Oh, John Smith's here, who will, if you ask him nicely, he will say good morning to Elizabeth Warren for you. Also, somebody besides John probably gets that joke. I gotta think somebody knows it. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette, and everyone who's jumping into the chat. So there you go. If you like what we do during the show, make sure you hit the like button. Also, share the stream out if you haven't done so already. That's what the pinned tweet says up there. Or tweet. I say tweet. Pinned chat up there says share the show out. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, you can do that through YouTube Super Chat and Streamlabs donations. And we will say whatever you got to say in your message for those. Within reason, I do take some editorial license occasionally, but rarely in this stream do I have to do that because y'all are so awesome and I don't have to do that. But I won't completely not say what you're saying. I'll just use code word language. And so hopefully people understand what the hell I'm talking about. So anyway, hit the like button and here we go. All right. So the reason I called this Suddenly Susan today, if you're familiar with just party politics, right? Susan Collins is one of those Republicans who sometimes can be kind of a swing push. She's one of those people that everyone's like, if there's something controversial, Susan Collins doesn't enjoy being controversial. She tries to walk that fine line. However, because she is a Republican from Maine, she's a very moderate Republican. I don't have a problem with moderates. I disagree with her, but you know what? Whatever. Do what you do. That's what your constituents want. However, she has this target on her back. She's had this target on her back for a very, very, very long time. And the Democrats just have been trying so hard to dump Susan Collins from her position in Maine, and the people of Maine reelect her. And in fact, but she's one of those, but she's always one of those, she's one of those candidates who the Democrats see it as they a possible pickup for their, to try to get a Senate majority, which they have right now. Well, they have a 50-50 right now. And so millions and millions and millions of dollars pour into Maine for her campaign, right? And she keeps winning. She keeps winning, right? Because the people of Maine like her, and it's hard to beat a senator who the people of the state like. Well, so now there's this little hit piece. I don't know if it's a hit piece on her, but it's making the rounds on the Twitterverse and in the news. Apparently, Susan Collins. Not Collins herself, but the feds are investigating alleged illegal donations to Collins' re-election bid. Now, let's read this article because it's interesting. And believe me, people are making a huge deal out of this, and it's fascinating. And this is probably going to get a lot of play because the media and Democrats, I know that's redundant, want to get rid of Susan Collins. I don't think she's up for election for a while. But anyway, the FBI is investigating what is described as a massive scheme to illegally finance Senator Susan Collins' 2020 re-election bid, Axios has learned. What's happening? A recently unsealed search warrant application shows the FBI believes a Hawaii defense contractor illegally funneled $150,000 to a pro-Collins super PAC and reimbursed donations to Collins' campaign. There's no indication that Collins or her team were aware of any of it. Collins helped the contractor at issue, then called Navatech and since renamed the Martin Defense Group, secure an $8 million Navy contract before most of the donations took place. Former Navatech CEO Martin Cowell was indicted last year for allegedly bilking the federal government of millions of coronavirus relief dollars. So what they're saying, the Collins for Senator campaign had absolutely no knowledge of anything alleged in the warrant. Collins spokesperson Annie Clark told Axios in an emailed statement, the bigger picture, federal prosecutors say Cal used a shell company to funnel $150,000 in Navatech funds to a pro-Collins super PAC called 1820 PAC. According to the FBI, Cal and his wife set up a sham LLC called Society for Young Women Scientists and Engineers. Navatech then wrote the LLC a $150 check. Investigators say, which was passed on to the super PAC. Now notice, this is not to Collins' campaign proper, but it's to a super PAC. And there's a lot of issues with super PACs because, it's pretty shady how the super PACs get money. But let's narrow this down a little bit again. Oh, and then government contractors are barred from donating to federal political committees, and investigators suspect the donations were an attempt to evade that prohibition. Investigators say bank records also show that Cow illegally reimbursed family members who donated to Collins' campaign, and that Novitek reimbursed some of Cow's colleagues for their contributions. That's known as a straw donation and is prohibited by law. The Collins campaign fundraising solicitations also require donors to certify that they are in fact donating their own funds. The allegedly reimbursed donations came in clusters, according to federal contribution records, between June and September 2019, and amounted to less than 0.2% of Collins' total fundraising, because $80 million were spent in that particular race. So yes, illegal campaign funding should be looked at, but it wasn't donated directly to Collins. It was donated to Super PAC, and it's fine. Find them, take them on money, and send them to jail or whatever. But this is lighting up, or at least yesterday it did, lighting up all over Twitter. She had to know. Look, it's $150,000 out of probably $45 million in donations that were used by the Collins campaign and their super PACs and everybody else who got into that race, right? So, it's certainly very unlikely that this relatively tiny donation did anything to change the results of that election, because I think she won by 30 points. I can't remember. I think she won by a lot. I know that for sure. She won by a lot. So anyway, but hey, it certainly makes for good fodder when it comes to maybe the next election, but that won't be for another 6 years. So this is going to be probably by the time that comes around. Well, let me just say that Susan Collins probably did nothing wrong, right? Anyway, so that's why the stream's called Suddenly Susan Today, but nothing else about Susan Collins Day. We're going to kind of do like we did yesterday and just go through a ton of articles and try to just touch base on each one a little bit and give you a little idea of what's going on in the world. But before I do that, I got to say hi to some people who came in after I said hi to everybody. Good morning, Sean DW. Good morning, MC. And good morning to Debbie Thinks. How you doing? Zach Osborne and Jim Beam and D.I. Freighter Watcher. What's happening? By the way, I got to go back. I have a video for you, D.I., that we were at the Duluth Lift Bridge where I had it was a 980-foot freighter was leaving the Duluth Harbor. It was kind of a cool shot that I got. So I'll show you that sometime. Anyway, all right, let's get into it. Let's get into some other stuff. Let me find my the right tab here. So like I said, we're going to go through a whole bunch of stuff really quickly. I tried to group these by topic or by general topic, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it interesting for you. So here we go. First of all, remember the Neanderthals? We talked about a little bit about this yesterday, but the Neanderthals Joe Biden was talking about, the Neanderthal thinking Joe Biden was talking about, in Texas, well, maybe not so fast. Those Neanderthals really knew what they were doing. Dagan McDowell mocks Joe Biden as Texas death rate plummets. In fact, remember yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before, that the first day, probably since last, I think, March or April, Texas had 0 deaths from the stupid 19. You know what that is. Oh, Balin Bobby, I didn't see you either. There you are. Texas had 0 deaths for the first time in quite a while, and their case rate is way down too. Anyway, Fox Business host Dagan McDowell mocked President Joe Biden during a Tuesday segment of The Five on Fox News. McDowell referenced Biden's criticism of Republican Governor Greg Abbott, who he accused of, quote, Neanderthal thinking. when he relaxed mask mandates and allowed businesses in his state to reopen to full capacity. Oh, shoot. Where's the... Oh, there it is. So here, we'll just... don't put a commercial on in front of me, please. Oh, you bastards. Anyway. Hi, good morning, Jonathan Peterson. Good morning. Oh, Charles, why'd you retract that? Huh? Charlie, good morning, by the way. Also, good morning, Jonas Patterson. And someone else came in. I just saw. Oh, I said Balin Bobby. All right. I'm just confused why you retracted that message, Charlie. Anyway, what was that? Anyway, I'm glad you're here, though. All right. So where was I? Oh, here we go. Why is this? Oh, my gosh, the damn ads. Okay, here we go. Where's the volume?
Because he had to wait for the Blues to catch up with the Reds in his way so he could blur the gaping gulf in success.
Charlie, yes, I'm aware of that. It is. But the Neanderthal thinking in Texas was supposed to cause everybody in Texas to die. Right? Is that what explain the Neanderthal thinking? Texas was way, way ahead of the curve on this. Just saying. 0 deaths in Texas, one of the most populous states in the country. Just saying. And how long have they been open? A couple months now, 3 months. Neanderthal thinking. Oh, or Governor Abbott was ahead of the curve. Just saying.
Country's doing well, but he couldn't just say, "Wow, the Reds are doing way better."
Right, those Neanderthals really knew what they were doing. But as a Southerner, I completely expect this because people will always.
You can't hear it. What is going on?
I think you're stupid.
Hang on a second. Let me check something here. You cannot hear that. Try this. Try this. Try this. Tell me if this is better.
Quite frankly, based on where you're from and the way that you speak, but then you get to, I'm kind of a sore winner. I wouldn't take it as nicely as Governor Abbott did. I would have been, doing a little dance.
Tell me if that's better. I've been having trouble with my sound on these things.
You're right, and you start winning, you can just watch their pomposity melt into horror. But one more thing, what Jesse was saying, and to your point earlier, here's what Joe Biden said yesterday about masks. He's still saying this. He said, the science now shows that your vaccination protects you as well as being masked. What?
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 Anyway, I'll shut up.
All right. Anyway, I don't need to do that anymore. Could you hear it better? Well, somewhat better. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to try. Let's see. That comes in from here. Oh, I maybe try this. Hang on a second. I just want you to let me just. Oh, this may help a bit. Hang on. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let's see this now. Let's see if this may blow your ears out, but let's find out.
Reds in his way so he could blur the gaping gulf in success. He says the whole country's doing well, but he couldn't.
Now I know you can hear it because it's blasting me out.
Right, those Neanderthals really knew what they were doing. But as a Southerner, I completely expect this because people will always underestimate you and think you're stupid, quite frankly, based on where you.
Oh, Charlie. 2 weeks ago, it wasn't plummeting in Texas. It's been plummeting in Texas for 2 months now. The case rate and the death rate has been plummeting for months in Texas. That's why they began opening things up and getting rid of mask mandates. It just didn't happen in the last 2 weeks. But New York and California are in much better shape now than anyone could have imagined 2 months ago. How about Michigan? How are they doing? And I don't necessarily want to compare states just because there's no comparison, but also because we're talking about the states that Joe Biden mocked by calling it Neanderthal thinking. Apparently, the Neanderthal thinking turned out okay now, didn't it? Texas was one of the worst states. How? Oh my gosh. By what measure was Texas one of the worst states? By what measure? By overall, by deaths per capita? Ranked down around 30 deaths per capita. Now, you please tell me the measure. New cases per capita? Tell me where and what measure. Yeah, now I'm okay. I'm gonna look. I appreciate you coming and sparring with me, but you're talking out of your, your cornhole right now. Good morning, Drayton's, by the way. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, you are talking straight out of your hind parts right now, Charlie. I love you, but man, come on now. Don't let's not even play this game. All right, let's move on. I've got a lot to get to here. And then this is interesting just because apparently in the UK, this independent sage expert who warned against reopening is a race advisor with no medical qualifications. Good gods. Members of independent sage who berated the government on Tuesday for not delaying the easing of stupid 19 restrictions in Britain is a social scientist turned race advisor who has no medical qualifications. Dr. Zabea Hawk, I'm going to say Hawk, a founder of the group, founding member of the group, specializes in racial equality and has even been involved in various government commission reports on welfare issues. In an interview with Good Morning Britain, she said the government should have stalled the latest stage of the roadmap of lockdown. We didn't pass test 4. Test 4 of the government's roadmap said that if we think that there's any further risk from new variants of concern, we should stall. They are completely ignored that and have gone ahead. She said, "Now I'm not into British politics all that much, but I got a feeling that no, you're not giving me facts. You're giving me. I've been following this extremely closely and watching every state, and not by cases and positive cases. Well, if positive cases mean anything, because look, here's the thing. I was a positive case, and here I am talking to you. The cases really don't mean much. The more important numbers are hospitalizations per capita and deaths per capita. Because guess what? I know plenty of people who had the antibodies because they went and took. My wife does testing for that. They find people with antibodies who never had it. Who never knew they had it. In fact, the study in Iceland, 50% of the people they tested, because they tested almost half the country just to get a gauge of how many people have it. 50% more people had it than even knew they had it because they had the antibodies, but they never got sick because they were asymptomatic and never got tested. Cases doesn't mean much to me or to anybody. Cases is just a scare number right now. Okay? The hospitalization rates way down, death rates way down. In fact, 0 yesterday. First time since last April. So, and look, yes, the case rates are going down across the country. Helps that we have a vaccine. In fact, whatever, stabs. Okay, I'm trying not to say that word because then YouTube flags you. Yes, of course. Let me guess. You're probably one of those people who also says that the Trump administration had nothing to do with the vaccine rollout. I bet you're one of those, aren't you? So anyway, all right, let's go. Do not insult me on my own stream, okay? Please. But don't anybody put him on a timeout. I absolutely welcome the banter. All right. So anyway, then we have a lot of people who talk about this unqualified, including pundits on both sides of the aisle, and even some of the experts are probably not qualified to talk about this. Resist fascism. Anyway, by the way, I got to remind you, I always have to tell you, because I do have my cup of coffee with me, and today it's in my Patience of a Saint cup. And I don't know if you can read that, but well, because of the light blast on there. Anyway, you can roll that back and see what it says. It's a funny thing, and got the idea of getting it from my brother-in-law. Anyway, moving on in the news, two officers of the law were wounded in a exchange of gunfire in Champaign, Illinois. A suspect in a domestic disturbance was fatally shot, and 2 Central Illinois police officers were wounded, one critically, in an exchange of gunfire. Wednesday, police said. Champaign police said in a statement that 2 officers who were called to the scene of the domestic disturbance on the city's north side around 3:20 a.m. encountered an armed person after exiting their police cars. An exchange of gunfire followed. The suspect was pronounced dead on the scene, while both officers sustained gunshot wounds and were taken to the hospital. One officer was in critical condition, another was stable, police said. Champaign police did not immediately release details to the shooting in the city 130 miles south of Chicago. So Champaign is where the University of Illinois is located. Urbana, technically, Champaign-Urbana. Apparently the Illinois State Police are going to lead an investigation into the shooting, but so danger of serving warrants by police. Article in Politico, interesting. Devin Nunes is squaring off. He has a lawsuit against the Washington Post. Lawyers for Devin Nunes and the Washington Post squared off in federal court Tuesday after a suit Nunes filed last year accusing the newspaper of intentionally lying about his actions as President Donald Trump was mired in controversy about his campaign's alleged ties to Russia. The article, published 6 days after the 2020 election, alleged that Nunes, Republican from California, made a midnight run to the White House in 2017 to access classified documents that could bolster Trump's claim that his 2016 campaign was spied on by the Obama administration, and that Nunes believed Trump Tower was tapped during that campaign. Nunes alleges that both these contentions were false. Indeed, after the suit was filed, the newspaper corrected the article to note that the now ranking Republican in the House Intelligence Committee maintains that his trip took place during daylight hours and that he has said he does not believe Trump Tower was wiretapped because they were playing games with they were playing games with semantics there. Despite those concessions from the paper, Nunes has pressed on with the suit, prompting the hearing on Tuesday before U.S. Court Judge Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee. During the session, Nunes' attorney, Stephen Bliss, insisted that the corrected report was even more damaging to Nunes' reputation than the original one. What they did was even worse, Bliss said. The corrected statement was more defamatory. So this is going to be interesting. That's a tough road to hoe for Nunes. In a defamatory case like that, you have to be able to prove they knew what they were writing as false. Plus, the media is giving extreme leeway when it comes to things like this. But if they can prove what they were saying is false, that's we'll see about that. Anyway, but like I said, that's a tough road to hoe. Here's some breathtaking news from yesterday. This is shocking. Shocking news about President Trump. Now that you mentioned that, Charlie, shocking news about President Trump, breathtaking, on the Hill, and you're not going to believe, this is insanity, that you're not going to believe this at all. Yes, I did hear about it. Not good, Charlie. You are absolutely right. I am completely and utterly in agreement with you for once. Well, not for once. We agree every once in a while. But my God, can you believe this story? I am stunned. And it was this article is from The Hill. And here's the tweet from The Hill. When I saw this tweet, I'm like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Donald Trump has been receiving a presidential pension since January. Holy crap. What the hell's going on here? Here's the article. Trump has been receiving a presidential pension since January. President Trump has been receiving a presidential pension since he left office in January. Business Insider reported on Tuesday. This is shocking. A spokesman for the General Services Administration confirmed to Insider that Trump has been paid $65,000 in presidential pension payments through May 14th. What the hell? Former presidents are entitled to receive pensions after their terms under the Former President's Act, which Congress passed in 1958, largely in response to former President Truman's financial troubles after leaving office in 1953. According to Insider, former presidents are paid the equivalent of cabinet secretaries' salaries. Trump, who publicly boasted about his financial earnings from his businesses throughout his presidency, donated his presidential salary to federal agencies. That bastard. Holy crap. He donated his 2020 salary to the Department of Health and Human Services to help the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. According to Insider, it's unclear whether Trump has kept the pension or donated it. My God. Such a scandal. Such a scandal. Yes, Jim, you're right. Impeach him again. This is a scandal of amazing... Wait a minute. Wait, what? What? This is a story? It's playing. Oh, you should see the you should see the replies to the tweets. It's like, I don't want to be an asshole on social media for saying this, but I told my best friend, my former... Okay, that has nothing to do with it. Oh my God. He's taking a... He's got a... I wonder what he's doing with that. Oh, it was so breathless. All right, let's move on. Okay, let me ask you something, Charlie. Are you talking about the deal in New York where they might be having criminal charges against the Trump organization? Not the administration, but the organization, Charlie? Is that what you're talking about? I'm coming to that. The Trump organization's in big trouble. You know how many times the walls have been closing in, Charlie? Have you been paying attention the last 5-6 years? Oh, are the walls closing in, Charlie? Oh my God. Yes, I heard about the fact that the state of New York is looking at possible criminal charges it's not even criminal charges. They announced that it's a possible criminal investigation. The walls are closing. And guess what? If they find something, okay, what? And I don't care. If they find something, great. If they find something he did illegal, fine. Prosecute him, fine him, do whatever it takes. But is that what you're talking about? I'm just curious. And possible criminal investigation is what the New York State Attorney announced. That it's a possible criminal investigation. Yes, the walls are closing in again. They've been closing in every 2 weeks for the last 5 years. And every time, clean as a whistle. Just saying. Well, or whatever. Anyway, let's move on, please. Lori Lightfoot's in the news. Chicago reporter, according to NBC Chicago reporter, Mayor Lightfoot will only give interviews to black and brown journalists. Oh, well, good for her. Flippantastic. It seems problematic, though. Late last night, after NBC Chicago reporter Marianne Ahern tweeted out the pledge from Mayor Lori Lightfoot spokesperson. While NBC Chicago has yet to report on this development, Ahern thought it important enough to pin her tweet for maximum exposure. She says, as Chicago mayor reaches her 2-year midway point as mayor, her spokeswoman says Lightfoot is granting one-on-one interviews only to black and brown journalists. Well, I guess that's her prerogative. It's her prerogative to do what it do. The prerogative. That's weird to me. But anyway, be interesting if some white politician. I'm only going to talk to a white journalist. Look, maybe she's just trying to. Oh, her hair actually looks kind of good there. She's kind of an interesting looking woman, but her hair looks really nice here. It doesn't look all freaky like it says sometimes. She actually looks fairly good in that picture. All right. For for Lori Lightfoot. Anyway, NBC affiliate may have taken a pass thus far in covering it, but Fox News is all over it. Well, of course, Fox News is all over it because, you know, she's a Democrat, and Fox will criticize Democrats, and everyone else will criticize Republicans. So anyway, I just think that equal opportunity in reporting for Mayor Lightfoot isn't necessarily necessary, because I don't care. Oh, good Lord. Anyway, let's see what else. Oh, Demi Lovato's made an announcement too. I've been wondering about this for the longest time, and CNN is reporting it because, you know, sometimes people need attention because, you know, when your career's sliding a little bit, your singing career, you got to come out with something new. And Demi Lovato's found the perfect thing to come out with. Demi Lovato has revealed that they are non-binary and changing their pronouns. Well, telling fans that they are proud to make the change after a lot of self-reflection. Notice how CNN tried to put pronouns in there as many times. Guess what? Demi, dear, you don't get to tell people how to use language. And you know what? I don't give a fuck what your pronouns are, because I don't even listen to your music. And but CNN sure cares. They even did a big old article and put the tweet of her telling everybody that she's making a big announcement that she's non-binary. And let me see if I might even show some of this, but I got to get it past the music part because I don't want that to give me a thing. So here's Demi Lovato making the very important announcement that they turn that music off. Here we go. Now, and you know what? Hold on. So, and I've always thought this was kind of just attention-seeking behavior, but here's her announcement. It's very important, and CNN thought it was important to take some time and put this on the news. God, thank goodness that Demi Lovato's telling us this, because I would have never known what to call her. I mean, they, or whatever the hell you do. That's stupid. I'm sorry. You're not plural. Well, you're kind of plural now, because okay, I shouldn't probably go there. That's not nice. Anyway, here's Demi Lovato telling the world about I'm not even going to use pronouns for her. I'll just say Demi Lovato telling us what Demi Lovato is telling the world, because this is an important announcement for the entire world to know. This is just, oh, good Lord. Cloud chaser. Yes.
Living in the fourth dimension means existing.
Living in the fourth dimension? Wait a minute. What? What? Living in the fourth dimension, she just said. Anybody? Anybody know what the hell she's saying here? Continuing.
In both time and space. But for me, it means having conversations that transcend the typical discourse. I want to take this moment to share something very personal with you.
Did you get the they joke now? I'm sorry, that's wrong. That is so wrong. I'm sorry.
Over the past year and a half, I've been doing some healing and self-reflective work. And through this work, I've had the revelation that I identify as non-binary.
And how do you do that? I've always, so here's the thing. When people say they identify as non-binary, they're not talking about their gender, but they're talking about their gender expression. And so expression, like, isn't what you wear and how you talk and things like that. I don't know that it changes anything about you. It really doesn't. But I'm going to let her talk because she's going to explain it to you.
With that said, I'll
the
officially
wall
be
came early for
today,
Demi.
then.
Yeah, she just didn't take off as she's still a fairly popular artist. I'm pretty sure she probably, I think she has a Vegas show now, and she's talented. I have no doubt is this woman talented. I think she's very talented, but it just no longer clicks with the current music scene and stuff like that. So anyway.
I feel that this best represents the fluidity I feel in my gender expression.
The fluidity.
And allows me to feel most authentic and true to the person I both know I am and still am discovering.
All right, hang on. I also curious, when she says her fluidity between genders, so you're saying there's two genders that you go back and forth from? Or what does that mean? All it means is that I need attention, and this is the current trend, and this is what I'm going to do. And CNN felt it important to make a big story about this.
In this first episode, I'm excited to share with you.
Okay, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm done. Nope. Anyway, I'm glad CNN felt that this was an important story to put on, tweet out and make it a very thing, because I was always wondering what Demi Lovato's pronouns were. Don't care. Moving on. All right. Now David Frum. I every time I see his mug, I laugh because he's another one of those little gnome kind of guys. He has an interesting article here in the Atlantic. David Frum, remember David Frum is the conservative writer from the Atlantic, and saying that trying to argue that the pro-Trump culture war on American side, saying that the Trump side of the aisle is trying to politicize the stupid 19 and its and scientists and all whatnot. And it's very fascinating. I'm not going to mention this. Well, I'm not going to read any of this article, but I put it out here just to kind of take a chuckle at the idea that only one side politicizes the stupid 19 pandemic. All of these politicians have been politicizing the stupid 19 pandemic. And the science, they blinded me with science, is all over the place. And everyone picks and chooses what part of the science they adhere to. It's hilarious. And so I laugh at articles like this, but I left it in here. So if you want to read it, it's here. But the idea that, well, people are politicizing the pandemic and science. I find it great humor in it. So, let's go back and let's take care of a couple of these because we have sponsors now. Thank you to our new sponsors of the day. Thank you first, Gamer Valid, who says, quote, with a $1.99 through YouTube Super Chat, says, quote, I may have already been in the comments on this. Which one? I'm gonna guess the Demi Lovato or the or what was the other one I had? Oh, the the presidential pension one. Oh, it might have been Demi Lovato. Anyway, yes. I'm so happy and proud, by the way, that Demi Lovato is now finally giving us what her pronouns are, because I don't care. Anyway, okay, now, and also thank you, Gunfox61 with the deuce through Streamlabs and Gunfox. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day.
Thank you very much. Who says, howdy ya? Send the girl, I think that thing is, to HB school for Karens. She needs to be put in her place. I'm assuming you're talking about Demi Lovato. Yeah, you know what? Holy shit. This shit's getting crazy. That we need to change our language just so we can have people get more attention. And the fact that, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, look, people, especially the people who like to put pronouns in your bios. And I know some people do it as just a way to be an ally to those who, have that going on. But especially if you are trans, if you need to put your pronouns in your bio, I don't know if you're doing trans right. Okay. That's wrong for me to say. I can't ever judge what people do with themselves, their body, their time, their, physicality, their makeup, whatever. I don't care. The only people who really need to know what your pronouns are the people who are going to be around you, because I don't care what your pronouns are. If you're about to get hit by a bus, I'm going to go, hey, somebody save her. Somebody pull her out of the street. I'm not going to go, hey, I better check what her pronouns are first. And guess what?
The only thing that's important about me using pronouns is whether or not the person I'm talking to understands what I'm saying and who I'm talking about. So if I go say, hey, go save her from that bus, pull her out of the street, and someone saves her from the bus coming down about to run her over, that I've done my job with pronouns. And if she says, I'm sorry, my pronouns are they, them, and I say, and if I knew that in advance, and I yell, somebody save them, and people be like, which one? Because that's how language works. I will never use your pronouns when I'm talking to you. Okay? I will never use, let me repeat that. I will never use your pronouns when I'm talking to you. Because I'm talking to you. I only need to use your pronouns when I'm talking to someone else about you. So as long as the person I'm talking to understands who I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. You're not even part of the conversation. Capiche? Where was I? Let's see, we went there. Let's move on. Charlie, you're still talking about Trump? I'm done with Trump. I mean, I'm done with those. Good Lord. Never mind. It's okay. Carry on. Moving on. Oh, and here's an interesting one, because we've been talking about this a lot. Just how innocent until proven conservative Capitol protesters languish in jail and are tortured while Antifa and BLM criminals walk. Yeah, it's weird how this is all going out. And granted, some of these guys should be charged, but boy, what they're doing to some of these people is really wild. People are tortured mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, legally, and spiritually. Jacob Lang wrote to his dad. He has been in federal jail since he was arrested on January 16th for his part in the mostly peaceful demonstration at the Capitol on January 6th. I know that's going to make some heads explode in my chat, particularly one. I've been in solitary confinement for 100 days now and haven't been convicted of any crime with no end in sight. Wow, that's kind of against one of the amendments. Which one is that? Is that the fourth or the fifth? I can't remember one. But that's in solitary confinement. Why? Why would they have someone who is being charged with trespassing in solitary confinement? Real quick, thank you, GunFox61, with another deuce. I appreciate you. Marty, some people it'd be better for the world if they became a hood decoration. Just say, okay, I disavow. Nah, good Lord. Charlie, I see why you're here. Oh, Reese Donald, how you doing? Also alone, ALONE, always lost and nothing else. Also, Hig, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for dropping in. And I'm sorry if I missed some of you here. I'm glad you're all here. And chat away. I enjoy seeing you argue with Charlie. Anyway, so Lang is accused of assaulting a Capitol police officer with a dangerous or deadly weapon. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. As per text messages received by his mother, Lang was reportedly locked in an empty cell with no toilet paper, chair, or blanket for 14 hours after being accused of advising other Capitol protesters not to take a plea deal. Shockingly, or not, member of the darling left-wing street militias, BLM and Antifa, have seen a different side of the system. People arrested for rioting, looting, burning federal buildings, and assaulting police officers are seeing little, if any, time behind bars. Roughly half of those arrested for federal crimes have had their charges dropped. Interesting disparate treatment of political ideologies. Most are granted bail, and many have had their bail paid by organizations such as the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which Kamala Harris is a proud supporter of. Compare the treatment to Capitol protesters. Ryan Samsel reported to have been viciously and savagely beaten by police while in federal custody. He has definitely suffered serious injuries, including a shattered orbital floor, a broken orbital bone. His jaw was broken, nose was broken. Elizabeth Pasqualini, attorney for Ryan Samsel, said, adding that Samsel is currently not able to see out of his right eye and may permanently lose vision in it. His hand was reportedly zip-tied together behind his back at the time of his beatdown. well, that's appropriate. And yeah, we talk about police brutality, and that's, yeah, now I guess, well, anyway, I don't see anyone burning down buildings over this one. And the new Attorney General stated in his confirmation hearing that while he was concerned about the violence in Portland, he considers the Capitol riot a domestic extremist attack because it was directed at interfering with government functions. Really? The federal building in Portland isn't doing government functions? I'm curious what they're doing in those federal buildings in Portland. And the federal courthouse doesn't do federal functions. I'm wondering what the hell they're doing in that federal courthouse in Portland that the dingbat, black-clad moron college nitwits tried to burn down. That's hilarious. Both are criminal, he said, but one is a core attack on our democratic institutions. You know what? Let's see. Were the Women's March protesters that occupied the Capitol building and took it over for a while, were they good God, this is crazy. You can read the article. It'll be in the tabs. Moving on from the New York Post. The Gaza flare-up didn't kill Trump's wildly successful Abraham Accords. Out of curiosity, Charlie, if you're still here, what's your opinion on the Abraham Accords? I'm just out of curiosity. Was that good or bad? Just you can answer as short or as long as you want in the chat. I'll only look for the good or bad part, though, and you can argue with other people if you want. America's foreign policy establishment and peace process industry are having a field day. The latest round of fighting between Israel and the terror group Hamas insists they sounded the death knell for the Abraham Accord. The Trump-brokered peace treaties between the Jewish state and several Muslim nations. Now, why you would be celebrating that, I don't know. You'd think that those historic deals would be something you would want to preserve. Leading the Schadenfreude Brigade was White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, a.k.a. Raggedy Ann Barbie, who on Tuesday declared from her podium, "We don't think the Accords did anything constructive, really, to bring an end to the long-standing conflict in the Middle East. The peace process has failed for decades to make Mideast progress, and the Gaza flare-up gives them and their DC mouthpieces like Psaki cheap chance to crow. I told you so." Reality disagrees, though. The monumental agreements last year will continue to flourish because their foundations remain solid. Whereas doing things the peace processor's way will return America to the failures of the past. Let me just say this. Hopefully, obviously the nations that they made the peace process were on the more friendly side, but it's still, I got to tell you, the, what is RTDL incognito? Okay, I'm not sure what that means. The idea that these, and here's the other article, here's Jen here too. Psaki, who's, by the way, is already stepping down after 4 months. It's got to be hard, man. It's got to be so hard to do this job for the addled guy in the White House. Yeah, her claim though that they did nothing positive happened in the Middle East under the last administration. Well, guess what? It got to notice that they waited to start throwing rockets across the border of Gaza and Israel. They waited till Joe Biden was in office to do it. Just saying. Anyway, those 2 articles will be under the tabs. Moving on. Apparently, Senator Cotton, AP story didn't add up. What was the Associated? Oh, why? Yeah, this is a good question. Why was the Associated Press sharing a building with Hamas? So there's this building in Gaza that got hit, right? Just kind of because they were firing rockets from the top of the building. So you know how the Israelis are. Hey, they don't give a shit where the rockets are coming from. They're going to just take out the place where the rockets are coming from. And so the bunch of media outlets, well, here, let's read the story. Although some media outlets are criticizing Israel's airstrike against a building in Gaza that housed the Associated Press and reportedly Hamas terrorists, Senator Tom Cotton said the AP story just didn't add up. Why was the Associated Press sharing a building with Hamas? Before the May 15th airstrike against the building in Gaza, Israeli military officials contacted AP and told them they had 1 hour to get out of the building. Oh, they warned them. They gave a warning. No civilians were killed or injured in the airstrike. The AP Times newsman said he was shocked and horrified by an airstrike that caused no casualties, said Senator Tom Cotton in his Senate floor speech today. He also disclaimed any knowledge of Hamas's presence in the building despite actively checking. And the other journalists and their advocacy organizations mounted up on their moral high horses against Israel. But the AP story just didn't add up, so I asked a few basic questions right here yesterday afternoon. Namely, why was the Associated Press sharing a building with Hamas in the first place? Did it normally allow its journalists to be used as human shields by a U.S. designated terrorist organization? I, personally, this is me talking, say, yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. Did the AP pull its punches and decline to report years about Hamas's misdeeds? One would think these are simple, reasonable questions, but I directed them to a media organization. So, yeah, questions that the media is not asking, but certainly great questions by Senator Tom Cottons. I just assume Charlie's gender. I'm a bigot. Well, you're right. I shouldn't assume Charlie's gender, should I? Charlie could be male or female, or Demi Lovato, for all I know. Anyway, moving on, we got the Democratic leaders also have been, I got a lot of Israel stories if you hadn't noticed in a row. Democratic leaders thwart leftist attempt to delay military assistance to Israel. Now because Democrats are really divided on this too. And the Squad, though, the Squad, they're full on Hamas supporters. Democratic leaders convinced their colleagues on Tuesday to drop an effort championed by the party's left flank that would have delayed U.S. military assistance to Israel as the country battles Iranian-backed terrorist groups. Representative Steny Hoyer of Maryland, the House's second highest ranking Democrat, told reporters after pressure from leadership, Representative Gregory Meeks, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, abandoned efforts to delay over $735 million in arms sales, not aid, sales. That's the thing. They call it aid, but Israel's actually buying this shit. To Israel, the Jewish state has used such weaponry during the past 2 weeks to battle Hamas terrorists as they fire thousands of rockets at Israeli civilians. Hoyer is one of the party's most vocal pro-Israel voices. Meek's bid was widely seen as a larger effort by Democratic leaders to placate the far left House members who continue to bash Israel and accuse the country of terrorism for conducting defensive operations. I don't know how people can't see this. Did Israel just suddenly, indiscriminately begin shooting missiles into Gaza? No. They did not. Regardless of what you think about that region, that conflict, that argument over who should have land and who should not. Who started firing rockets into civilian areas? And should the Israelis be allowed to retaliate or take out the places they are shooting the rockets from? That is the only question. The Squad and the far left knuckleheads say, oh no, this is Israel's this is their terrorism. No, it's not. Moving on, more Israel stuff, House votes. But the House Democrats also vote against Hamas sanctions. The vote comes as Hamas rains rockets down on Israeli citizens. House Democrats overwhelmingly voted Tuesday afternoon against applying sanctions on Hamas, the Iranian-backed terror group that fired thousands of missiles at Israel during the past 2 weeks amid a deepening regional conflict. In a 217 to 209 vote, Democrats rejected a bid by House Republicans to hold a vote on Hamas sanctions legislation authored by Representative Brian Mast. The bill was supported by every House Democrat in the last Congress, but stalled this time. I wonder what changed. When Democratic members refused to allow the bill to be considered by the legislative body, Republicans wanted to pass the legislation to further express support for Israel as it fights the terror group. As the conflict in Israel continues into its second week, many Democratic lawmakers on the party's left flank have publicly criticized the Jewish state, with some describing the defensive operations as terrorist acts. Progressive lawmakers such as Representatives Ilhan Omar from down the street and Rashida Tlaib, a.k.a. Rashida Taliban from Michigan, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York have called for cutting U.S. military aid to Israel and sanctioning the country. They have not condemned Hamas's strikes on the country and the terror group's use of civilian shields in the Gaza Strip. So the Middle East is back to... The Middle East is back, baby. It's back in the news in not a good way. Real quick, couple of hellos. Good morning, Legit Low Talker and Random American. Welcome to the show. And James PFP, I think you were here earlier. Anyway, here we go. This one from the Federal. Oh, no, this is from the American Spectator. Oh, so this is an interesting claim that's come out now, that medical examiners were bullied over George Floyd's cause of death. Minneapolis police officer defense alleges that medical witnesses were subjected to coercion and retaliation. Well, we saw it with the one doctor that the expert they brought in that now is, we'll get to that. I think I have that story too. Last week, Counsel Total, one of the former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd, filed an explosive motion for sanctions against the prosecutor that alleges, among other things, that the testimony of Hennepin County medical examiner Andrew Baker in the trial of Derek Chauvin was, quote, directly and indirectly coerced by the state and its agents, end quote, and that the former chief medical examiner for the state of Maryland, who testified for Chauvin's defense that Floyd's death was due to cardiac arrhythmia, has been subjected to threats against his medical license. On May 26th, Dr. Baker, the Hennepin County medical examiner, the motion says in part the following. On May 26, 2020, Dr. Baker, the Hennepin County medical examiner, conducted an autopsy of Mr. Floyd. On that same date, Dr. Baker advised, quote, prosecuting attorneys, end quote, that, quote, this was the original autopsy. The autopsy revealed no physical evidence suggesting that Mr. Floyd died of asphyxiation. Mr. Floyd did not exhibit signs of petechia, damage to his airways or thyroid, brain bleeding, bone injuries, or internal bruising, end quote. On May 29, 2020, the criminal complaint against Derek Chauvin stated that the full report of the medical examiner was pending, but that the preliminary findings revealed no physical findings that support a diagnostic of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. Prior to June 1st, Dr. Roger Mitchell, former medical examiner for Washington, D.C., called Dr. Baker to discuss these preliminary findings, citing an Exhibit 1, not accessible on the court's website. Paragraphs 5 and 6 of the motion state the following. Number 5. Dr. Mitchell spoke with Dr. Baker before Dr. Baker finalized his findings on June 1st, 2020. During the conversations between Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Baker, the following transpired. A, Dr. Mitchell called Dr. Baker, and first of all, Baker should fire his public information officer. Then Mitchell asked Baker what happened because Mitchell didn't think it sounded like Baker's words. Baker said he didn't think the neck compression played a part. Over the weekend, Dr. Mitchell thought about Dr. Baker more. After the phone conversation between Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Baker, Dr. Mitchell decided he was going to release an op-ed critical of Dr. Baker's findings in the Washington Compost. Dr. Mitchell first called Dr. Baker to let him know, and then the following transpired. Dr. Mitchell called Dr. Baker first to let him know that he was going to be critical of Baker's findings. In this conversation, Mitchell said, "You don't want to be the medical examiner who tells everyone they didn't see what they saw. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room and be wrong." Said something, there was a way to articulate the cause and manner of death that ensures you are telling the truth about what you're observing via all of the investigation. Mitchell said neck compression has to be in the diagnosis. Interesting. Very interesting. And then according to the motion following these conversations, Dr. Baker issued a press release in which the final autopsy findings included neck compression, which was contrary to Dr. Baker's conclusion before speaking to Dr. Mitchell twice. So he was conversed. There's also more down here, but I'm gonna let you read that yourself. But yeah, does anyone doubt that went on? Someone associated with the Washington Post. All right, before we move on, what time is it? Oh, I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Before we move on, thank you. We have another sponsor, another deuce, this time from BBC Rentals. Oh, good Lord. Let me just give this the proper gravitas. We at BBC Rental, I should have music for BBC Rentals. We at BBC Rentals have partnership with HB Karen Braking Service. Here, there is nothing more effective to get these bitches in line than spit roasting a Karen between two of our BBC members. Get your Karens in line with BBC Rentals, unless you're racist. Thank you, BBC Rentals, a very long sponsor of the Morning Night Live. We greatly appreciate you. Okay, and on that same. This is the other thing. So here we said that there was kind of some shenanigans going on against the witnesses in the Derek Chauvin trial. Well, 3 women have been arrested for vandalism targeting Derek Chauvin's expert witness. Along with the attempts to take the medical license of Chauvin's forensic pathology expert, the post-trial assault on witnesses will have a chilling impact on the ability of the other 3 officers charged to find experts willing to testify. So these 3 hags, on April 18, 2021, we reported the former home of Chauvin's use of force expert witness was vandalized and smeared with pig's blood. And apparently police have made arrests in the vandalism. 3 women have been arrested for allegedly vandalizing the one-time Northern California home of a former police officer who testified on behalf of the officer convicted in the killing of George Floyd by splashing pig blood on it and leaving a pig's head near the porch. Rowan Dalby, Kristen Almointhe, and Amber Lucas, 20, 34, and 35, all of Santa Rosa, were arrested Tuesday on felony vandalism and conspiracy charges. They were cited and released. Santa Rosa police spokeswoman Janine Cucker said Wednesday. That's a great name. After targeting the home on April 17th, the women also allegedly smeared pig blood on a large hand statue in Santa Rosa and left a picture of a pig reading "oink oink." They have also been charged with the vandalism. So here's the KPIX
tonight arrests
here. Let's move on here so you can see I just want you to see the.
Drea?
Here we go.
Yeah, Liz, along with vandalizing that home in Santa Rosa, investigators say the women also covered the hand statue here downtown with animals' blood. Now they're facing charges of conspiracy and felony vandalism. These are images from April 17th where pig's blood was splattered all over this home in West Santa Rosa. Today, the Santa Rosa Police Department served search warrants at 2 separate locations and made arrests.
Okay.
3 individuals, various ages, Santa Rosa residents were taken into custody in the last 24 hours on this case.
The suspects are being identified as 20-year-old Rowan Dalby, 34-year-old Kristen Moith, and 35-year-old Amber Lucas. Lucas is a wine influencer in Sonoma County.
She's a wine influencer. How about that? Cash me outside.
Has an Instagram account under the name Amused Blog.
When it came time for you to speak up about Black lives, where the were you?
Okay.
Lucas not only posts about the wine and hospitality industry, but is also vocal about social justice issues. In this vandalism case, though, police say the women targeted innocent victims.
Completely misdirected. It was in connection with what we believe was Barry Broad's testimony, who used to be a resident here in Santa Rosa.
That's the other thing. They got the wrong house. You know what? I'm not going to show the rest of that, but it's in the tabs here. Let's keep going here so I get done on time. So this commission for the January 6th selfie insurrection, well, Kevin McCarthy has decided that he will oppose even authorizing commission because It's kind of stupid. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy announced that he will oppose the bipartisan bill creating a commission to study the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. McCarthy's objections to the bill aren't... Oh, but let me get why. It's not that he doesn't want a commission. Okay? That's false if you hear that out in the ethersphere. McCarthy's objections to the bill aren't likely to derail the measure, at least in the House. The bill has gotten support of the ranking member of the House Homeland Security Committee, Representative John Katko, who's one of the few Republicans who voted to impeach Trump, and several other GOP House members have expressed their support for the commission. Several Republican senators also support creating a commission to study the riot, although Democrats need at least 10 defectors for the bill to get past the filibuster and make it to the floor. But McCarthy had some pointed objections to the bill, and here they are. Quote, given the political misdirections that have marred this process, given the now duplicative and potentially counterproductive nature of this effort, and given the speaker's short-sighted scope that does not examine interrelated forms of political violence in America, I cannot support this legislation. In other words, McCarthy's objection is that he wants a broader scope into political violence. I wonder what that might encompass. But they only want to talk about the selfie insurrection. Anyway, so he wants a broader scope, and that's his main objection. He does not want this just to pinpoint towards the Capitol riot, because all this is anti-Trump masturbation is what they're looking for. That's what they want. That's the image that they want to put out there. So McCarthy is objecting to their want of anti-Trump masturbation. All right. Trump, by the way, also has chimed on this, says the commission is a Democrat trap. It's a trap. Unless Portland and Minneapolis riots are also studied. Yeah. Well, they're different things, but the Democrats don't want to, talk about Portland or the Minneapolis riots or other political violence around the country. They just only the selfie insurrection. Former President Donald Trump issued a statement Tuesday referring to the bipartisan 9/11 style commission into the January 6th Capitol riot as, quote, the Democratic trap. Well, at least he didn't say hoax, because, they get confused when he uses the word hoax. And because remember they were talking about he said that the new hoax is how how the Trump administration was handling the stupid 19, right? Not the stupid 19 itself, but how Democrats were using it as a political weapon. But then the myth that came out from that was, he said coronavirus is a hoax. And that's just straight bullshit. And we know it's bullshit. No matter how many times someone said it, he never called the actual stupid 19 a hoax. In fact, the people who, when he first started talking about it, Democrats were poo-pooing it. Remember Nancy Pelosi telling people to come on down to Chinatown for Chinese New Year? We're safe and we're, come and join us. You remember that speech? Anyway, Republicans in the House and Senate should not approve the Democratic trap of the January 6th commission, Trump wrote in the statement following the news Tuesday that House Republicans remain divided on the scope of the proposed commission. And his statements there, okay, you can just read that yourself. It's in the tabs. I'm going to keep going because I'm running out of time here. Now, this is interesting. So, a district attorney vows to go after ex-SWAT officer after his charges for pepper spraying protesters are dismissed. So, some charges against this officer were dismissed, right? And this is in your neck of the woods, Gun Fox, sort of. Democratic Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner will pursue charges against an ex-SWAT officer who was accused of pepper spraying protesters in Philadelphia during the summer of 2020, the Philly Voice reported. Krasner vowed to keep the case alive and pursued charges even after its dismissal Monday by Municipal Court Judge William Austin Meehan Jr., according to NBC 10 in Philadelphia. The charges against Richard Paul Nicoletti, an ex-SWAT officer, included a simple assault, reckless endangerment, and official oppression. I didn't know that was a charge you could have. Nicoletti was accused of using pepper spray on demonstrators who marched on an interstate highway during protests that intensified during the summer of the coronavirus pandemic and following George Floyd's death, caused by a now former police officers. Yes, we didn't know that. Daily Caller, or had no idea that was what happened. But anyway, Nicoletti turned himself in after charges were filed and was initially suspended for 30 days. He was subsequently fired after the suspension. And he says, but then Krasner, even though the charges were dropped, the Krasner's going to go after him because, we're never going to let the charges against some of the criminals be adjudicated, but boy, if it's against a police officer, boy, that's what's absolutely necessary. All right, let's keep going here. In the Daily Wire, there's Candace again, because every time you open up a Daily Wire article, you get a picture of Candace. New York. And here's now Charlie left. And this is what Charlie wanted me to talk about. And it is here, unless you are here, Charlie. The New York Attorney General announces Trump Organization under criminal investigation. Okay, because she said this, 4 years ago that she was going to do this? Remember that? This is Letitia James. She's been saying that she's going to go after Trump just because he's Trump, I guess. No predicate for going after him, but just that because he's Trump. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced on Tuesday night that her office is no longer pursuing just a civil case against Trump or the Trump Organization, and that the matter has now evolved into an active criminal investigation. James' office is working with Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance's office, whose wide-sweeping probe into the Trump Organization has looked into whether the company misled lenders and insurance companies about the value of properties and whether it paid the appropriate taxes. CNN reported, for the past 2 years, James' office looked into matters including whether or not it improperly inflated asset of financial statements to secure loans and obtain economic and tax benefits, as well as how Trump Organization employees were compensated. James' office confirmed that in a statement that its investigation into the Trump Organization was now criminal in nature. And they've informed the Trump Organization that our investigation into the organization was no longer purely civil in nature. Well, good for her. She's been... this is Trump has committed the sin of not being part of the establishment and winning. That's his sin. And so now it's time to try to take the entire organization down and hurt them as much as possible, because they don't want him to run again in 2024, because if he runs against Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, we're going to have a second Trump administration. I'm just telling you. Remember the guy had the rant yesterday? We told y'all what was going to happen if you didn't vote for Trump. And now, listen, where are y'all talking now? Where you at now? Remember that guy? That was the last thing we did yesterday. All right. Grisilla, what's happening? Nice to see you. All right, let's keep going because I'm running out. Oh, let me check something here. I didn't even see. How are we doing here? We've got... you got 48 in the house, 32 likes. Hit the like button, share the stream, and throw money at the dog if you have it, or are interested or want to say something that you need to get my attention. That always gets my attention. All right, where was I? I was on this, Trump, this, more Trump, and not Trump. Nope, wait a minute. Where was I? Oh, so this is weird. Here's a weird happening. Apparently, in what state is this in again? Pennsylvania County is experiencing issues scanning Republican ballots during local elections and primary races, according to officials. Wow. How could that be? Oh, why are you so angry in the house too? How are you doing? Chris Varney, judge of elections, says they were initially under the impression that it was a problem with all the ballots, but then determined it was only a problem with Republican ballots. Local news reported the election official was unaware of how many other precincts were experiencing the same issue, but noted it was occurring in numerous locations across Fayette County. The Fayette County Bureau of Elections confirmed the reports of precincts across the county rendered unable to scan ballots. The solution provided by Fayette County officials was to collect ballots from voters and store them in the back of voting machines, but not to scan any of them to ensure the process was handled in a fair manner. But of course it was a perfectly never mind. You can't even talk about this on YouTube, so I'm not going to get in trouble. Now apparently, we're moving into the Biden administration. Kicked out on his ass is the quote. Email show faction of federal officials celebrated Biden's unprecedented firing of labor board leader. So I'm just going to give you the summary of this. A faction of staffers with the National Labor Relations Board celebrated President Joe Biden's unprecedented termination of the agency's former leader. Emails obtained by the Freedom Foundation showed. In an unprecedented move, Biden fired former general counsel Peter Robb, who had been appointed by former President Donald Trump hours before taking office. Hi, Peter. So exciting, NLRB senior attorney Neelam Kunja wrote to the general counsel Peter Orr on January 25th, according to one of the emails, and such a refreshing change. Apparently the pro-union faction was glad they kicked him out. It's just, it's like, look, it was kind of a savage move by Trump putting him on there right at the last minute, but still, kicked out on his ass, is according to the emails, and they had their field day with that. So anyway, you can read that one later. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Gamer Valene, for sponsoring the show with the most patriotic donation of all times ever. And Gamer Valene,
you are the new Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day.
Thank you, my dear. Big love to you. Gamer Valene says, investigations without provocation, more money to parents regardless of working status during the pandemic, $10,000 refunds for waiving income tax on employment. I'm real glad I worked. I'll go fuck myself on making money since they want to spend it for me. Yeah. That is precisely correct, Gamer Valene. Just... this shit's insane. It really is. Update. Fayette County uses Dominion voting machines. Oh, well, fan-fucking-tastic. You just can't read the Republican ballots. Let's see. That would be, I don't even have a sound for that. Here.
Gotcha, bitch.
Anyway, thank you. Good morning. Check your logic. Welcome to the show. All right. And so, by the way, Joe Biden was at a Ford plant yesterday. I think he gave a speech and, he mumbled his way through it. And I downloaded it just so I could go through it with a little more fine-tooth comb, because he was saying some really weird shit, and I may do a video about it. But anyway, he also, Proterra, this is a company, I believe, that makes electric buses, vehicles like that. And they had hired a Obama-connected lobbying firm just weeks before the Biden visit. This is a coincidence. It's a coincidence. Weeks before President Joe Biden boosted Proterra with an official tour of its plant, the electric battery company hired a pair of Obama administration alums to lobby the White House for funding, amplifying its already concerning political connections to the Biden administration. According to disclosure forms filed last Friday, the politically connected electric bus manufacturer brought on lobbying firm Boundary Stone Partners on April 1st to push the administration for increased funding of clean energy infrastructure projects, including the electrification of mass transportation facilities. The two lobbyists registered with Proterra, Pete Gould and Christine Turner, both worked in the top echelons of the Obama administration. Gould was a associate director of government affairs and for the Department of Transportation. And Turner held numerous trade-related positions throughout the administrations, including on the White House National Security Council. So these people like to, you know how the kind of the revolving door between the government and industries kind of work, and they always end up in industries that the government's about to give some money to. And so when they, you know, this Proterra company hired some Obama lobbyists, and then Biden tours the company kind of pushing their stuff, and now we got all this green energy stuff. So I'm sure there's lots of money flowing back and forth, and a lot of these green energy companies really don't do shit. Well, here's an example. Remember Fisker? Do you know that name? So Fisker Automobiles lost taxpayers tens of millions. So now the top investors are turning to Proterra. Oh, what a coincidence. Beneficiaries of Obama's administration's failed green investments stand to profit under Biden. You can't even write a prominent player behind an Obama electric car investment that lost taxpayers $139 million is the top investor in Proterra, the politically connected electric bus manufacturer repeatedly promoted by the Biden administration. I wonder if Hunter Biden has something to do with that company too. It could be. Venture capitalist BMF Kleiner Perkins, led by Chairman John Doerr, will hold up 9.3% of Proterra shares once the company goes public in a $1.6 billion merger, according to SEC documents. President Joe Biden has publicized the company on multiple occasions following the merger announcement, going as far as touring a Proterra factory to tout his proposed $45 billion government investment in clean, zero-emission buses. Now, you got to realize, here's the thing. You know the thing. Yeah, what he said. Do you realize that the federal government probably doesn't own very many buses, right? How many of your local metro transit places have buses owned by the federal government? But imagine if suddenly there's an administration that comes by that has some sort of weird political connection to an electric bus manufacturer, and the federal government decides that they are going to require that bus companies have emission requirements that would force them to buy, wait for it, electric buses. Chew on that for a moment while I go to the next story. Redistricting is going to be a problem for Democrats, I think, because remember, a couple states lost some seats in the House, a couple states gained some seats in the House, and the legislatures do all the redistricting. Well, redistricting across many oh, by the way, you know what's, I know they were talking about this a while back because they knew New York was going to be needing to do some redistricting, right, for their congressional districts. And there is a certain number of politicians in the state of New York, both on the Republican side and on the Democrat side, that really do not have any time for a certain congresswoman from Brooklyn that uses 3 names and initials. You know what I'm saying? And they lost a seat in the House. They lost 2 seats. Didn't New York lose 2 seats or 1? I don't know. Whatever they lost enough to redistrict a certain congresswoman's seat out of existence. And she might have to run in a different district. And maybe, just maybe, that could be the end of her congressional reign. But she'll get book deals and shit, so, whatever. Anyway, redistricting across many battleground states, swing states, could imperil Democrats' chances of holding their House majority. I think they're in peril of holding their House majority if there were no changes. But despite winning the presidential election, Democrats did not fare well in down-ticket races, such as the state legislature and gubernatorial elections. Now, Republican-controlled legislatures can move forward with redistricting in a manner some Democrats claim could result in them losing many swing district seats. For instance, even though now President Joe Biden won New Hampshire, the Republican state-controlled legislature could change Representative Chris Pappas' seat to make it more favorable for Republicans. I already serve in the Republican district, and they're already talking about making it even more Republican, Pappas told Politico. There's several districts they talk about in this story, but you get the idea. And we might be getting to say a bid farewell to Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sooner than she probably was expecting. But you know what? She's going to be a wealthy young woman just from writing books and being a gadfly in the political scene. So I don't think it'll be too rough on her if the squad loses a member. All right. All right, I got to fly through some headlines now, so we're going to just do a lightning round and we'll be done. Andrew Giuliani is running for the governor of New York. Giuliani name is also one of those New York names that carries some weight, although, some New York Democrats don't like Rudy, his dad, but that'd be an interesting battle if that happened. He's a young, fresh face, even though he's named Giuliani. New Yorkers seem to like their legacy candidates for whatever reason, so that would be an epic match. Moving on from the New York Post. Also, remember Mark McCloskey, the AR-toting person who wanted the people to get off my lawn in St. Louis? Well, he's running for the Senate in the St. Louis. There's Mark McCloskey and looking like whatever. Good for him. I wish him luck. I don't know anything about him politically, but good for him. Also, in Val Demings is in Florida is looking at running for Marco Rubio's seat in 2022. The Democratic Congresswoman. Do the Democrats really think this will work? Rubio has won 2 statewide general elections. He's also bilingual, which appeals to the Hispanic population. But Democrats have a big name candidate, and her name is 10th Congressional District Representative Val Demings, who's decided to run for Senate seat instead of the governor. For months, Demings mulled a statewide office to pursue, but she's decided she could do the most good by taking on the 2-term senator, according to several Democrats familiar with her thinking. I don't know what to think about that. Obviously I think Rubio can still hold that seat. Also, and moving on, Kamala Harris's tax returns have revealed that the second couple gave less than 2% to charity. Oh, good for them. They have a gross income of $1.695 million in income. Federal income tax paid $621,893. Effective tax rate 36.7%. And amount donated to charity $27,000. Even less than the Bidens, who make less than half of what they made. But you know what? I'm not a fan of articles like this. Yes, it tells you something about them as far as what they give to charity, but it doesn't mean that they don't use their money in responsible ways. It's kind of a stupid way to measure. It does give you somewhat of a sense of what they're like as people, but I don't care what people do with their own money, and I think people should be allowed to keep more of their own money. Taxes. So there. Thank you, GunFox61, for the Nether News. And through Streamlabs, who says, Marty, AOC can make a lot of money giving college guys some dance lessons. If you know what I mean. Yes, there was that video of her dancing on the roof. They were emulating the Breakfast Club dance, and so she can certainly give college guys some dance lessons. Okay, good, Fox. You are incorrigible. You are. All right, here we go. Finishing up here. Wisconsin. There's a video of a Wisconsin teacher who just berates this kid for not wearing a mask during lunch. Here it is.
Time. I don't care if you're vaccinated, you little dink.
Okay.
I don't want to get sick and die.
Hey.
There's other people you can infect just because you're vaccinated. You know what? You're not a special person around here.
Oh boy! Now
You should hear about how everybody talks about you. You're a jerk.
I don't care how people
You're
talk
a
about
jerk.
me. Okay.
And you need to have respect for other people in your
okay,
life.
I'm curious. Okay, so as you watch this, I know it's a weird photo angle, but as you watch this, a couple things come to mind. If she's so concerned about getting sick, why is she in his face? And she's, let's just say she's a little more high risk. I do.
You're not a big man on campus.
And I'm sure the kid's probably a dick too. She's probably right about that, but she doesn't need to be saying that in front of her. And it's during lunch, and just chill, woman, and get away. Stay away if you're worried about getting sick if he's fully vaccinated. Now, I don't even believe, I'm not even sure if this is when he was fully vaccinated, because that the younger people, it was just recent that they started doing vaccinations. And I don't care. If he's vaccinated or not. You don't need to be yelling at the kid in his face if you think he might be a risk to your fat ass. Oh God, I said it out loud. Damn it. Anyway, you can watch the video on your own. Also, let's see. Top CDC official steps down weeks after email surfaced showing collusion with the teachers union. Remember, the teachers union pretty much wrote a bunch of the CD guidelines regarding schools, and they got caught, and now this moron stepping down. In fact, here's another one. A powerful teachers union swayed Pennsylvania Democratic governor to shutter schools. Same thing. Governor Wolf, Tom Wolf, gun foxes, ever loving piece of crap governor. Same thing. The teachers union pressured him and got him to shut down schools, because the teacher unions definitely have your kids in mind. They are supposed to be heroes, like the nurses and the doctors and the ambulance drivers and the people who do your shipping and everyone else who had to work through this entire stupid 19 pandemic, like myself. Oh, food service workers, all heroes. But the teachers, oh, hell no. I don't want to be a hero. Yeah, not. And the unions kind of swayed the TDC and the governor. So FTG Tom Wolf. Let's see here. Governor Abbott orders mass. Oh, now Governor Abbott has an order against mass mandates in all towns. And it gets better from there. First, he signed an emergency declaration on Tuesday announcing that Texans have a liberty to choose whether they wear a mask or not. We can continue to mitigate COVID-19 while defending Texas's liberty to choose whether or not they mask up. And then he wrote on Twitter, Texas is prohibiting mask mandates by government entities. Starting May 21st, local governments attempting to impose a mask mandate can be fined up to $1,000 a day. I don't know. We're also prohibiting public schools from mandating masks after June 14th. And no Texas government should decide their best health practices. And then what else did he do? He did something else. Well, that's going, oh my goodness. That's a funny meme. Anyway, so if you want to see that meme a little longer, it'll be in the description down below. All right, let's finish up here because I'm already late. Illinois ends its mask. Oh, Illinois is finally ending its mask requirement. Look at how mad Lori Lightfoot is, though, down in the back here. Boy, do not. Anyway, they said they're ending their mask requirement for fully vaccinated people, but the mayor says she will still wear a mask for now because she does not believe in science. She blinded me with science. Moving on. What else? What's this one? Oh, and now it's no longer forbidden to talk about the Wuhan lab leak theory because it was before. You get in trouble for it if you talked on YouTube. Great article in PJ Media. New York Post. Facebook shuts down a pro-Israel page targeted by cyber terrorism campaign. Facebook. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to have any other opinions than the staff at Facebook, and so they will shut you down. And this is another example of that. 40% of America. Oh, this is funny. So Chris Hayes, the MSNBC anchor at MSNBC, 44% of Americans have never heard of him. At MSDNC. Oh, those are new glasses he got. Is that even him? That doesn't even look like Chris Hayes. That's not Chris Hayes. Do they have the wrong picture? Chris Hayes looks like a male version of Rachel Maddow. Who is this guy? That is not Chris Hayes. Most who don't. Oh, but most who have don't like him or don't care. All right, then last few coming up. I got to get through these. Trump spent. Oh, remember that Nord pipeline that was going from Russia to Germany, and Trump convinced the Germans not to let that go on because they could get their oil from America, and America was exporting oil. We were energy independent, and everything was going great. And the gas prices were staying low the entire Trump presidency, and everything was, they were still working on green energy, but everything else you still could stay cheap. And they stopped the Russians from making money selling oil to Germany. So Trump spent 2 years sabotaging Putin's Nord Stream 2 dreams, and now Biden is helping them come true. So the Biden administration shuts down the Keystone pipeline, but now the Nord pipeline would be a major political win for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Who is a Putin puppet? Joe Biden?
Come on, man.
You just have to read it to believe it. Here it is. New President Biden planned to waive sanctions on the Russia-owned company in charge of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. So, shut down American energy independence, but give the Russians a little place where they can make little dollars on the side selling oil all throughout Europe. Way to go, Joe Biden. Way to go. Where's Charlie when I need him? Let's see. Oh, there's a video of this one. A girl fends off armed kidnapper while waiting for a bus, according to a video. And the video's here, but I'm not going to, I don't have time. I got to go. Then the last two. Oh, yeah. Watch Angry. Oh, this is another one. This is another video where parents are just destroying. What's her Weingarten? What's her name? Randy Weingarten, the American Federation of Teachers president, and apparently they had. Let me come back to that one because I do want to show that, and then and this just is a column on men giving birth. America was founded in 1619, and Israel is the aggressor. Lies that the left tries to tell you. But let's go back to this because I think we have a minute on here. Is this everyone.
And if we see a difference,
hang on. So
Black parents.
So this is the, let's see, is this? Yeah, here we go. Live on C-SPAN. Listen to this. This is great. Let's go full screen on that. All right, there we go. All right, listen to this. This is great. And we'll call it a day.
And if we see a difference between Black parents and white parents.
Hang on, I'm gonna pause because. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
And I didn't even know you're here. I'm glad you're here, my friend, who says, in the words of Deuce Bigelow, that's a huge bitch. That's right.
That's right.
That's a big bitch. I think he was referring to the teacher from earlier. Yes, that is from Deuce Bigelow. Okay, here we go. Listen to Randy Weingarten getting it here.
Everyone. And if we see a difference between Black parents and white parents, or Latino parents and white parents, we have to actually meet those needs.
Do you know?
Let's hear from Bill in West Virginia, our line for others. You're on with Randy Weingarten. Go ahead.
Good morning, ma'am. Nice to meet you. And I mean no disrespect to you, but You know, this union thing, one time in our country, a union was a wonderful thing. Now the union creates lazy, ineffective people, and it also creates children that have no education. I look at my grandchildren. It is pathetic how the teachers union and the government has failed our children. I don't see how you could sit up there and defend that.
Look, we are working in McDowell County, West Virginia, and in other places in West Virginia, and we see a real connection between educators and children and communities.
Yeah, they're failing.
I'm not saying that there's not things that we shouldn't do that is better. Frankly, I just made a whole big speech about how we should do.
Oh,
things
you
that
made
are
a
better
speech
and
about it.
how
Great.
we should really meet the needs and meet the aspirations of all kids. And what we've seen, frankly, the research is where there's unions, there are better wages. Where
This
there's
is not the
unions,
only one, but
there
this is
are
the one they had
better,
as an example.
Kind of solutions.
Okay, shut up, lady. I'm sorry. You're just so full of shit. I can't do it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, in the words of some rapper, hang on a second here. What? Oh, let me do a couple. Let me get the thank yous out before I go. Thank you, Tyler F. and MC and Renee Mayette and Ronan Wolf. Oh, not Ronan Wolf. That's a different one. Deuce, it's time to end fascism once and for all. Oh. Check this out. This is on the Blaze. Ronan put this out here for me. I wasn't going to do anything more, but here we go. Look what they call it. Steve D says it's time to end fascism once and for all. Resist fascism. I love it. Thank you for sending that to me, Ronan. All right, gang, it is definitely time for me to go. Thank you for joining me today. Before you go, hit the like button on the way out the door. Also, share the stream. Put a comment in the comment section if you're watching on replay, or even if you're watching now, come back and put a comment in the comment section. Also, during the outro, I will throw a link to all the articles in one tab that will be in the chat, and it will be in the description down below if you want to go back and check some of those articles that we've went over today. And finally, thank you to our sponsors today: Gunfox, Gamer Blaine, Gunfox 61, BBC Rentals. I think that might be Gunfox. Anyway, and Black Hebrew Israelite. That's right. For sponsoring the show today. I greatly appreciate you and everyone in the chat and everyone watching, either lurking, working, driving, or thriving. Everyone have a great day. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.